All right, so here are with Kirk as he tend to analyze the poll between President Donald J. Trump and Kamala Harris. And then he is saying that the gender war will take over the 2024 election. I believe that this is going to be a very interesting one. He'll be looking at it in terms of the black vote. We could look at gender, we could look at women, we could look at the policy. It's going to be a very interesting one. So without any further ado, let's get on to this video and then check this out.
It's an open question of how this race is actually going to turn out. But early indicators show that, look, I mean, this is still early, that the race is tighter than it was with Joe Biden, as to be expected. New Emerson State polls show that Donald Trump up 6 in Arizona against Kamala in Arizona. Georgia, 2. Pretty tight. Michigan up 1, very tight. Pennsylvania up 2. Wisconsin tied, which Wisconsin's one of the hardest states to poll. Now, there's very interesting dynamic. Kamala Harris here, Kamala, I always get it all messed up. Kamala Harris is going all in on trying to run up the score with Gen Z voters, suburban women, and black voters. That is her main emphasis and thrust. Interestingly, one of the areas where Donald Trump did not do as well in 2020 as he did in 2016 was with white voters, was with working class white voters. Donald Trump improved almost every group, improved with blacks, improved with Hispanics, but white men did not show up in big numbers in 2020. A fascinating piece of data. In fact, Donald Trump had a double-digit point turnout issue with white male voters
like 50%
in 2020 versus 2016. And this is my biggest fear heading into 2024, is that we might be winning in the polls, but they are not going to turn out and vote. Young ladies are very responsible. They'll fill out their ballot. They'll show up on time. Young men, very difficult to get them to do it. Very, very difficult. I know one young man here in Scottsdale that I see quite often, and he's a big Trump fan. It's like, you register to vote, register to vote. I text him. He says, I'll get to it. There's a reason why women do better in school and in college than men. They're better at dotting the I, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. They're far better at the details. Women tend to be better at micro tasks and better at follow through. And this is why, by the way, at Turning Point USA, our entire events department is female. There is not a single male that works in the events department. Not a single one. Meticulous, detail-oriented. They show up on time. And so young ladies will vote in bigger numbers because they will remember to fill out the ballot. They think it really matters. Young men, they'll just forget about it. Men just, it's a waste of time. Or if we do not mobilize massive amounts of working class voters, specifically in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin of working class whites, we will win the polls and we will fall short on election day and during voting month. And this is the opportunity of voting month, is we can do better with this community in real time, is that we don't have to go all in on just one day, is that we could do it over a 30 or 40 day window, chase those ballots, get them into the system. And the polling is a little bit disturbing right now because there's a difference between likely voters and registered voters. Donald Trump does better in polls that are just registered voters, people that are on the voting rolls. Donald Trump does worse on voters that are likely voters. In fact, when it's just likely voters, it is a near tie. And Kamala, they have a multi-billion-dollar ballot chasing, voter registration, ballot harvesting machine that will neutralize this race. It's going to make it very, very tight. And she will go all in on an abortion message, on a female empowerment message, on a black power message. And so we have to harvest and chase the low propensity voters. And I'm seeing no evidence so far that young men are going to become super responsible in big numbers in the coming months. This is where we need to have thousands of full-time operatives on the ground. We're trying our best at Turning Point Action. We have hundreds and hundreds that we are hiring, but we need to activate them. You could end up winning in the polls and losing on election day of people that agree with Donald Trump and think Kamala's the worst, but they just end up not voting. They get lost in the data. On the other side is if young men and white men in particular in these states show up in record numbers and we do better with boomers, the path to victory is very clear. It is very simple. That really is the entire election. This will be a turnout election. If we fall short, it'll be because people that agree with us wouldn't take 2.5 minutes to fill out a piece of paper. Donald Trump had a triumphant show of force yesterday that the media largely ignored because the media right now is so high on their own supply of the drug called Kamala. It is a lethal drug, by the way. These guys can't see straight. They got euphoria from the whole Kamala thing. Donald Trump was in rare form last night. It was the best MAGA rally I've seen in quite some time. Let's play cut 156 again, just as B-roll. It was a packed audience of 8,500 people. That right there is a type of crowd that you would expect on the eve of an election. That is like an election eve vibe. This is late July, and he is drawing a crowd of 8,500 people. 8,500 people. Donald Trump went through a very effective and precise indictment of Kamala. This is a little taste of it. Play cut 154.
But this November, the American people are going to tell her, no thanks, Kamala. You've done a terrible job. You've been terrible at everything you've done. You're ultra-liberal, and we don't want you here. We don't want you anywhere. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
So those 8,500 people, they all need to commit to chasing 100 early ballots. We are going to release this in the month of August. But just as a little teaser at Turning Point Action, we are going to have a pledge card where you or anybody say, I pledge that I'm going to chase 100 people during voting month. And you could do that with a Turning Point Action app. That you could become a force multiplier. You download the app, we'll give you a list of 100 of your neighbors, and during the month of October or late September when ballots come out, you are relentlessly chasing those ballots. Imagine if all 8,500 of those people would just chase 5 ballots. Just 5 ballots. It's an exponential increase, and that is how we outperform the polls. President Trump continued with his indictment of Kamala. Let's go to cut 172, please.
If Kamala will lie to you so brazenly about Joe Biden's mental incapacity, then she will lie to you about anything. She can never, ever be trusted. She can't be trusted. And just like crooked Joe Biden, Kamala Harris is unfit to lead. She's unfit to lead. She'll destroy our country. In a year, this country will be destroyed. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence, weakness, and failure. Other than that, she's doing an excellent job.
Excellent job, your word, Mr. President.
When you go through the list of how radical she is, she wants to ban fracking, ban plastic straws, ban red meat. She wants to give amnesty to illegal aliens. She wants to give benefits to illegal aliens. She wants to make it a civil offense, not a criminal offense, to come across the southern border. She has bailed out rioters in the past. She says that defunding the police is a great idea that must be looked at. She has been rated the most liberal U.S. senator in America. The most liberal. The most liberal U.S. senator. And she's tried to back away from that. The race in front of us is very simple. It is Trump or bust. And my fear is that we will win the argument and we will not turn out in the major numbers we need. And even a 1% turnout issue could determine the entire election. And that's why you must join Turning Point Action and become a citizen force multiplier. Every single one of you can do that. And every day you go find new voters. I will not be able to live with myself if I have to hear the news say, President Kamala Harris. We have the ability to effectuate change.
That's a very interesting one, just like how Charlie Kirk can analyze some of these dynamics when it comes to the election comes November. But Charlie Kirk tends to be a very honest person, despite the fact that he advocates for Republicans. But in the other way around, he tends to point out, in a sense, some of the lapses that should not be ignored, some things that should not be taken for granted, else otherwise it could give more room or chances for the Democrat to exploit some of them and then end up winning the elections. And then that's why he was talking about having the total number of registers vote. And then if we're to talk about people registering vote, of course, a lot of people can register vote, but is it everybody that vote? You know, that here comes with what the eligible voters. People will actually go and cast the vote on the election day. And then that means that a lot of people have to do a lot of works for some of those things, understand, to be able to come to play. Else otherwise we'll be here talking. At the end of the day, we are not able to win the election. And if you look at it in a sense this very way, Republicans are going to do this, they're going to implement this policy, they're going to do that. No, he is talking about what can we do to win the election, and then he tend to look at the numbers. How can those numbers in a sense be multiplied? And then that's why he was talking about having an 8,500 people in a sense listening to the president. Then imagine that these people are going back to their respective places and then speaking to at least 5 people. So imagine you multiplying in a sense that 8,000 people times 5, then you're going to see that the number of people are going to be much. And then looking at in a sense some of the places that he was pointed out that if they're able to like do well, you see that. And then talking about the young people, well, it may not be technically everybody, but whether we like it or not, gender, race are going to really influence this November election, because Camilla, she she being a black woman, of course we already know that a lot of people will vote for her just because she is black. A lot of people are going to vote for her because of that. And aside that, a lot of people are going to vote for her because of what she's a woman, and not necessarily because of she's a Democrat, but they're going to vote for her because of her kind of personality. And then if we look at, in a sense, some of the things that maybe she must have done in the past, and that's one thing that I like about her famous phrase that she says that
what can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unbothered with what has been. It means that she is not just much more bothered about whatever she must have done in the past or whatever that must have happened in the past, but she is tend to look at the future. And then if you look at it, of course, a lot of young people are tend to vote for them. Aside from the women or the black population, then let's also look at, understand, this movement, these LGBTQ people, right? the liberals, of course, they are going to vote for her. And just like how we'll be talking about, okay, what will now happen to younger children and all those things, that some of them might get confused in the process of trying to decide whatever gender, you understand, that they want to be. So if you look at, you understand, some of those things, people want to continue with some of the policy that is already being implemented by the Democrat, because once Trump comes, we know that all those things, you understand, will come to an end. And that's why I see Charlie Kirk take his time, you understand, to analyze some of these dynamics. But they may sound silly, but then these are the reality on grounds. Sometimes we men, we might do all the talking, but are we going to go to the vote and really cast the vote? That's how you understand the problems. And that's why what if you want Trump, then it means that you have a lot you need to do. That's why a lot of you understand, like some of you who are listening to me, some of you also have what, social media, and that's why we also have phones. So what happened? You have to call people, you have to call friends, you have to make them understand why they should vote Donald Trump. If he is the candidate that you really want to see in the White House, then you have to keep advocating for it. You have to keep talking to them, you understand, about his policy, and then about some of the things that he is coming to do. Unless, you understand, you do so. But if you just say, well, oh yeah, Donald Trump, okay, is a good person, you go, maybe probably you register, okay, as a voter, right? And then that's it. When the day of the election comes, that's like, Donald Trump is gonna win. At the end of the day, one vote, in a sense, can change everything. One vote that you see, it can change a lot when it comes to election. And then that's the reason why what everybody has to go out and then exercise their what, their franchise. And that's what, in a sense, everyone will need to do. So if you truly want Donald Trump, you understand, to win the presidency, it means that what, you need to talk to your people, you have to talk to your friends, talk to your family members, make them understand why they should vote for President Donald J. Trump. But then if you look at, understand, the political movement that Kamala Harris, understand, is doing at the moment, dancing, women empowerment, and then so many things she is doing, it shows that she is going to really be a good candidate to beat, you understand, in the election day. I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion concerning this, and I wanted to drop it at the comment section, and may God bless you as you do so. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So guys, you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video.